This past Saturday on September 6th, I turned 46 years old. And yes, I am still in deep perimenopause. I joke a lot on social media and even on the news that this isn't a transition, it's a freaking career. I'm talking 10 years on average that we can be in perimenopause. And man, this transition is profound. Now, I will say that this birthday feels different. Not just because I am feeling better than I have felt in years. Man, the last 2 years have been an epic health journey. But because I'm standing in a season of renewal and purpose. Next month, on October 21st, my new book, The Perimenopause Revolution, will be released into the world. A project born out of both personal struggle and deep conviction. And if you're catching me on video, let's say you're on my YouTube channel or on Instagram, I'm sure we'll have a clip on Insta. I am in a pink tweed work suit because I just went on national TV talking about the book and what we can do to feel more alive in this profound transition. And the truth is that often women are suffering needlessly during the perimenopause transition. And that has a lot to do with the fact that they were not told or warned about what was going to happen to their bodies. As these hormones begin to shift, we will notice our energy, our vitality, and in many ways, our life force can feel like it is shifting or being taken away without permission, right? Due to declining hormones, metabolic changes, and lifestyle patterns that we were never warned about. I feel like many of us can feel like we're losing our momentum in this season of life. I know that in the beginning of my perimenopause journey, I was very blindsided by what was going on with me. I felt very low in my energy. My brain felt like it was scrambled. And I honestly felt like my slight edge, my ability to be sharp and stable and just to have it all together was slipping away. It's no wonder why so many of my patients who are super high functioning and are able to handle so many things at once start to wonder what the heck is going on. But what I want you to know that there are so many ways that we can reclaim it. And that's literally what the Perimenopause Revolution book is all about. I want you to have a roadmap so that you know what the heck is going on with your body. I want you to be able to connect the dots between your symptoms and your future health outcomes. And I want you to know that there are tools and there's information and knowledge so that you have agency over your body. Advocating for yourself has never been more important than it is in this transition, especially when we have a healthcare system that fails to recognize it. And here's the thing about perimenopause, especially my own journey, is that some days are amazing. I feel energized, resilient. I'm getting good sleep. Man, my brain is firing on all cylinders. And then other days, like earlier this week, I struggled with a migraine hangover while prepping for Kingston's first day of kindergarten. It's crazy how we can be navigating all the things while we're moving through this journey, right? We are navigating children going back to school or just kids in general. We are navigating our household, our careers, and we are also having to prioritize our health like never before. And so I just want you to know that I am sending you so much extra grace, and I am so committed so that you feel like you can thrive in this season of life. Because despite the challenges, the stretchy days, I'm committed to optimizing my own metabolic and brain health. And that's why I devoted this episode to the topic that I believe is near and dear to all of us, because each of us know not one, but many people who are struggling with cardiometabolic conditions. I'm talking diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, fatty liver disease, heart disease, even cancer and dementia. And ultimately, those family members and friends, right, they can shine a light on how we need to tend to ourselves, take care of ourselves. I have family members and friends very close to me who are struggling with a lot of these symptoms or a lot of these chronic conditions, including diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, fatty liver disease, and heart disease. And I believe a big part of our midlife journey involves creating daily habits that support and optimize our cellular energy, whether that is our brain health or our heart health, or even our bones, our gut, and immune system. Now, I know that we've been told, or we have been sold. I hope we're not believing this narrative that perimenopause is the slow downhill ride into aging. The truth is so much further than that, right? That this is our metabolic window of opportunity. If you heard me on other shows or even here on the Energize podcast, you know that I believe that perimenopause is a zone of opportunity. It's a window of opportunity because it does present as a window of vulnerability. But what I believe is that when we start to experience these signs and symptoms, the shifting menstrual cycles, the low energy, the brain fog, the mood swings, the body composition changes, the lack of the same strength that we had, that it's our body's way of telling us that we have got to level up our support, because you are being ushered into the second half of your life, whether you are ready to own that or not. And there is a distinct difference between blaming yourself and taking ownership. I don't want you blaming yourself. I know that there's a narrative as well that it's all your fault, that you are to blame. No, there is nothing to blame in terms of your hormones erratically declining without your permission. If anything, it's happening without your permission, right? But that doesn't mean that there isn't something that we can do about it. So I want you to know that this is your time to reclaim your energy, to pivot your habits, and to listen to your body's shifting needs. And most importantly, this is a time to finally understand your metabolism and how much of your health is anchored in your cellular energy and that hormone communication. So if you're struggling with things like brain fog, midsection weight gain, low mood, fatigue that caffeine cannot fix, right? Or even sleep issues that, no sleepy tea in the world is addressing, I want you to know, again, you are not broken. You are likely experiencing the ripple effects of changing estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and their intimate connection to insulin, muscle, and your mitochondria. I want you to know that you are not crazy. You are changing, and you can change with your body instead of fighting against it. And that is what a true roadmap is all about. Understanding how to work with your body, not against your body. Because let me tell you, the results will be far richer and more in the direction that you would love if you work with it. So what is really driving this shift, right? I want to break down 5 core reasons why we struggle in perimenopause. And these are silent shifts, right? Shifts that aren't announcing themselves or, presenting themselves outside of symptoms. So declining sex hormones, especially estrogen and progesterone, that impact your metabolism, your sleep, your mood, and your insulin sensitivity, but also your muscle and your bone, right? And your brain. Yeah, I've done so many episodes, particularly one recently, Your Brain on Perimenopause, where I talk about estrogen being the master regulator and the CEO of the brain. And can you imagine? You've had a CEO for 30 plus years that shows up every day rhythmically throughout your cycle from 9 to 6 o'clock. And honestly, it's 24/7, but let's just give you an example, right? And they're consistent. They've been consistent for decades. And then all of a sudden, that CEO decides to not come into work, no announcement until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, doesn't leave until 10 p.m. The next day, doesn't show up at all, but then comes to work at 6 a.m., stays until 8 p.m. And then the next day, not until 1 p.m. and leaves at 3 p.m. That inconsistency, man, your brain is like, what the heck is going on? That is a silent shift that can feel completely disruptive, particularly when the brain is driving your sleep, thermal regulation, your moods, your cognition, your ability to manage and mitigate stress. I mean, that is a lot of aspects that can impact our life. Next, the loss of muscle mass. We lose an average of 3 to 8% of muscle starting in our 30s every single decade. And that accelerates at the end of perimenopause, where we jump up to 5 to 10%. I'll tell you what, muscle is our metabolic sink. It's our Spanx. We need to maintain it like it is one of the most important priorities of our lives. Next is going to be blood sugar instability and insulin resistance. I know you've heard me I feel like I'm beating a dead horse when I say this, but insulin resistance is one of the biggest, if not the root causes of cardiometabolic disease, meaning heart attack and stroke. This silently affects 80% of women over 45 years old, if not more. Next is fat redistribution. We know about those body composition changes. Even if the scale doesn't move, it seems like the fat does, right? From hips to thighs to visceral belly fat that increases inflammation. Man, I will tell you, it is not setting us up for winning and for a thriving metabolism. And if anything, when we start to develop that visceral belly fat, that deep fat, not only is it inflammatory, but it also drives further insulin resistance. It becomes this crazy spiral that we have got to get under control. And then lastly, again, the research, is still backing this up in perimenopause, but due to the loss of muscle and the increase in fat, our metabolic rate does shift a little bit. And we will notice that our mitochondrial energy production, our cellular energy, what allows us to think and feel and do, begins to shift. I cannot tell you how many women have come to me wanting more energy. Hence the title of this show, Energized, because that's exactly what I want to deliver for you. And this is why what used to work for your energy, your workouts, or even your weight in your 20s and your 30s simply isn't working anymore. I talk about this by no means ad nauseum in the book, but I do talk about the body composition changes and how what worked for us in our 20s and early 30s simply isn't going to work for us. And really what I mean is that we just can't get away with the same things that we used to in our 20s. I used to get by with 6 hours of sleep pretty easily. I could get by with drinking a couple glasses of wine at dinner on a Thursday night or Friday night. I could get by with basically running myself into the ground to some degree and still bounce back the next day. Like, I didn't have a lot of self-care strategies. I didn't have a sleep routine or, goodness forbid, a morning routine. I simply didn't have the intention or direction put into place so that I was prioritizing my health. I thought I could get away with anything and everything, and I kind of did until I didn't. And I will say that it didn't just happen to me in perimenopause. I started feeling pretty crappy in my late 30s. And I don't know if it was peri or if it was like creeping insulin resistance or it was creeping burnout or my stress response system was going wayward. Definitely my progesterone levels were not where they needed to be. But it's a little wonky and a little messy. What compounds that is many of us are having children in our late 30s or early 40s. And all of a sudden it gets real messy, right? We really are in the messy middle of like, is this postpartum? Is this perimenopause? Is it a yes and? I absolutely understand what it feels like to hop from postpartum to perimenopause with very little gap in between. So how can you gain agency? How do you understand what's going on? Before I get into my protocol, what I've been doing this year, and even since my birthday last year, I would say since September last year, I have been committed because, if we don't have our health, what do we have? Our health is the epicenter of everything. And believe me, when I had the back-to-back concussions, the brain injury, I couldn't do anything when I was recovering from that. Like if I had never known before, I knew then that if I wasn't in okay health or decent health, I wasn't able to move anything along, including the kind of mother I wanted to be, the kind of work I wanted to do, my drive, what I wanted to bring into this world, the kind of joy and experiences that I wanted. I was too busy just trying to get back to a place of homeostasis. So before I do get into this protocol, my number one piece of advice is to know your body. And the best way to know your body is to know your numbers. So tracking labs gives you insight and power. It puts the power into your hands. And this is not about perfection. It's about patterns. At a minimum, I recommend running labs every 6 to 12 months, especially after 40, especially if things are popping up and things are out of range. At a minimum, I recommend looking at your fasting insulin. I aim for under 5. I would give you under 6, but you got to start working on getting that number lower. For fasting glucose, ideally under 90, more optimal is 85 or lower. So 85 milligrams per deciliter. I want you to run a hemoglobin A1C. I don't want it above a 5.4. Triglycerides and HDL. Ideally, you're able to divide your triglycerides by your high density lipoprotein cholesterol to get a ratio of, ideally optimally is 1. Healthy is 1.5. Anything above a 2 with that ratio is going to be considered insulin resistant and put you at greater risk for cardiometabolic disease. An ApoB because it's a phenomenal indicator of your cardiovascular health. And again, in our 40s, this becomes very important. For inflammation, particularly inflammation in your blood vessels, highly sensitive CRP, your ESR sed rate, a homocysteine, fibrinogen, a full iron panel to see if you're anemic. During late perimenopause and even sometimes with early perimenopause, we can have crime scene periods where we're losing a lot of blood. And it's important to know that we're not anemic. A big part of why women feel so exhausted and fatigued in perimenopause is due to these crazy heavy periods that ultimately drives anemia, right? And there could be some nutrient deficiencies there, like a vitamin B12 deficiency or B9 folate deficiency. So it's important to be looking at these numbers as well. I want to look at your vitamin D levels. Oftentimes we are, 95% of the women that I test vitamin D on are either at the lowest range of their vitamin D or even below range. So it's important to be looking at that number because that number has a profound impact on your immune system and your cognitive function. And then look at your hormones. Look at estradiol, progesterone, a full testosterone panel, DHEA, your thyroid, the full thyroid panel, and look at, if you can, cortisol and melatonin. I mean, those are kind of pie in the sky, but it's worth asking. At least an AM cortisol can tell us a lot about your cortisol awakening response. So those would be the labs that I would be asking to run at least annually. And if you're like, I didn't have time to write that down, I am dropping my kid off at school right now. Believe me, I'm doing that every day myself. Get the book, get the Perimenopause Revolution book. I have all the labs and what they mean and optimal ranges inside the book, but also as a part of the Perimenopause Powered Toolkit, which is a $500+ bonus that comes along with the book. So not only get the book, you get all the bonuses, including meal plan, recipes, workout videos, exercise snack videos, lab ranges, the list of labs to take to your doctor, cycle changes, symptom tracker. I mean, everything to get agency over your health so that you can advocate for yourself and you can begin to make changes today. One of the things that I'm going to be talking about a little bit in just a minute that has made the biggest difference, and we know that it will mitigate the brain-related symptoms, is going to be movement. Moving your body like your life depends on it. That's what's up. And so I'm going to be talking about that. That's why I'm so excited. After I finish this episode, my annual birthday episode, I am running over to this beautiful hike with my son in his kindergarten class. It's called Annie's Canyon, where I can be out in nature with him, hiking and having a nice little lunch and just being out in nature. Girl, I'm trying to get there. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm headed. And if you want a good metabolic assessment, I'm going to have my metabolic assessment guide in the Peri Powered Toolkit, but I will also have the link to the metabolic assessment as well inside of the show notes so you can go and grab that. But again, all of those sexy bonuses, $500 worth of bonuses, including my perimenopause masterclass, are instantaneous when you buy the book. You go to my website, drmariza.com/book, put your info in, and I will send you all the goodies. I will send you the bonuses so that while you're waiting for the book, you have everything that you need to get started. Because I hate having to wait for a book and have nothing to start moving the needle. Like when I'm inspired to do something about my health or my life or my work, whatever it may be, I want to get started now, not later. One of my favorite phrases to say is now is the new later, because I am very much urgency and efficiency. If I'm like, let's effing go, let's go. So just a heads up, I want to make sure that you know that you are good to go when you get the book and you put your info in for the bonuses. You're going to be able to feel like a different person in 7 to 10 days by just implementing a few of the strategies that I'm not only going to share here today, but also share in the bonuses. What have I been doubling down on this whole year of 45? What am I going to continue to be doing in 46? And this is what I'm actually doing every single day right now. And again, it's not about perfection because goodness gracious, life just doesn't work like that. It's about being strategic, it's about being sustainable, and it's about being hormone smart. So tracking and technology. So I am putting a brand new glucose monitor on right now. I use this about 2 to 3 times a year for real-time glucose data and honestly some accountability. I want to make sure that everything is looking good. It's one thing to get a, static one-time fasting blood glucose level at your doctor's office when you run labs. It's another thing to be looking at how your meals, stress, and sleep affect your overall energy every single day. And that's what a continuous glucose monitor does. Now, I'm getting my continuous glucose monitor from Levels Health. One of my dearest friends, Dr. Casey Means, is a co-founder of that company. And then the other thing that I wear religiously is going to be my Whoop strap. So it tracks my heart rate variability, my sleep quality, my recovery, my strain. And I'm just curious, I haven't even looked at my numbers today. I'm not going to lie, I've been running pretty ragged recently, just hopping from one thing to the next. My sleep was at an 89%. I mean, overall, actually looks everything good. I probably didn't get as much sleep as I needed last night, but my consistency was great. My recovery is about 55%. My HRV, taking a look, it's been really good as of recent, but it's not the best today. I think I may have pushed too hard yesterday. Obviously, that's what the numbers are telling me. My HRV is 31. I can get it all the way up to 50. My resting heart rate, which is definitely high, is at 67. Usually it's around 61. So for instance, yesterday I had an 87% recovery. Yeah, my strain was pretty high yesterday, so that makes sense. I tracked like 13,000 steps yesterday. My resting heart rate was 61, and my HRV yesterday and this data is so important because it can really tell you so much about what's going on. My HRV was 46. So, it's interesting. You'll see those numbers and you're like, okay, I'm going to push. I'm going to go get it. And then the next day your body's like, no, maybe you did a little too much. And so that's why I like looking at this data, because it can tell me how to modify my workouts, my recovery, and my bedtime routines. Like today, I'm not doing a heavy lift workout. I'm going to go hiking for a couple of hours in this beautiful canyon. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So now that I've got my Whoop data, I feel very validated in my decision to just be hiking today. And my body and my brain and my circadian rhythm all love that idea. And I love that I get to be in connection with my beautiful boy and all the new families in our kindergarten class. So next is food and nutrition. I will say that I prioritize protein and fiber the most. I aim somewhere between 20 and 30 grams per meal. Just to be honest, I don't always hit my 30 grams. It's just where I'm at in this journey. I do prioritize protein. I land somewhere between, to be straight up, 80 grams and 100 grams per day. Currently, I weigh 115 pounds, so I'm pretty close to what my target is. But I'll be honest with you, when I'm hitting my target, it's a lot of work. And so I do my best to get close to it, but doesn't always work out that I hit that number. But I am prioritizing protein a lot to maintain that lean muscle, to build that lean muscle. But again, you have to work out to actually build it and to stabilize blood sugar. Metabolically healthy meals include clean protein, so salmon, grass-fed beef, eggs, healthy fats, avocado and olive oil, fatty fish, and I love nuts and seeds, so like flaxseed, chia seeds, almonds, pumpkin seeds. So we put a lot of those on our veggies. Fiber-rich vegetables, so broccoli, other cruciferous vegetables like broccoli sprouts and cabbage and cauliflower. So my brain, I'm having a perimenopause moment in the wild. I'm like, why can't I think of these vegetables? Lots of roasted carrots as well. And even, we'll do some roasted potatoes and let them cool down so that they become more of a resistant starch. Polyphenol-rich foods. I'm a big fan of berries. I'm a big fan of apples and lots of green leafy veggies, herbs and spices. Right now, lots of mint and dill in our salads. And then fermented gut foods. We mostly eat beet, sauerkraut, or other fermented veggies. Fermented cauliflower is one of those. Fermented carrots and okra, that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's always, or maybe we even have a prebiotic drink that I just make sure is low in sugar, or we just have a shot of it if it's a little bit on the higher sugar scale. But I try to eat fermented foods at least once or twice a day. And then I'm a big fan and I am religious about early time restricted eating. So I aim for a 13-hour to 14-hour fast overnight. So we eat dinner by around 6:30. Finish meals, 7 is the absolute latest. Usually I'm done eating by 6:45, 6:30, and I don't eat again until the next morning. In terms of the thing that has moved the needle the most is going to be movement. And I move all day long. I have a walking desk inside of my office. I walk outside to send voice memos and to reach out to besties, to talk with friends on the phone, to even take meetings on the phone. I walk 10 to 12, sometimes 13,000 steps per day, spread out. I love things like yoga for mobility and movement. I also do a lot of exercise snacks, so lots and lots of jump squats, lots of push-ups, lots of jumping jacks and jack squats and mountain climbers. And I'd usually do these for 3 minutes at a time throughout the day. And then I do incline walking or zone 2 cardio or maybe like a Peloton class for 30 plus minutes, like a couple times a week. And then I will do at least one HIIT workout 1 to 2 times a week. So that's usually what it's looking like for me. I do like variety. I try to mix it up as much as possible. In terms of the mind body kind of stress recovery, I do prioritize sleep like it is mission critical. So I'm usually in bed, lights off by 10 p.m. I try to focus on no screens, magnesium. I love using essential oils, but like I just have a solid sleep routine, and I'll be sharing more about that not only in the book, but also I actually just did a sleep solo episode, I think a week ago. I want to say it's episode, let me just take a look. Yeah, from fatigue to energize, reclaiming sleep in midlife with evidence-based solutions. That was episode 673. So if you want to go back, I will link to it in the show notes so that you have my full sleep routine. But yeah, sleep like $1,000,000 meeting is where it's at. Like sleep consistency, going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time has been the biggest game changer for me. And it really shows up on my Whoop most days of the week. Next, I try to meditate a couple times a week. I'll be honest with you, my favorite meditation is walking meditations. Breath work and somatic work, nature time and grounding, like I'm going to do in a couple of minutes. Sauna at least 2 to 3 times a week. And I do not do any cold plunges at all. Like if you're wondering, I do not, no, thank you. My stress response system cannot tolerate cold plunging. And then supplement support, my core supplement support, like if we're talking about bioidentical hormones, is progesterone and estradiol. I take progesterone the second half of my cycle for 12 to 14 days. And I take estradiol in a form of a patch that I wear every day that I switch out twice a week. Again, it's not a one size fits all for any of us. You got to figure out what works best for you. But it's worth having the conversation, especially if you're struggling with symptoms. My core supplements are magnesium glycinate every night before bed. I take my omegas at night as well. I take a high quality methylated B vitamin. My activated B complete from the Essentially Whole store and then my magnesium restore. I take my B complex and in the morning. I take magnesium glycinate in the evening before bed. I do have my adrenal love support as well with adaptogens that I take in the morning, digestive enzymes and probiotics, mitochondrial support, so NAD precursors, CoQ10, big ones, especially for my migraines and my mitochondria. Liver support, milk thistle is a big one for me. I have my liver support blend from the Essentially Whole store that I take every single day as well in the morning. And then I love electrolytes. I love Element. My favorite flavor is the lemonade salt. I am drinking it right now in my emotional support water, which I have right here, my Big Stanley, which I jokingly say that it's also my secret, like my weapon. I can hurt somebody with this thing. Anyway, I haven't had to do that though, thank goodness. But I have my emotional support water everywhere I go. Next, my joy-based strategies, because I believe that it feels good to feel good, that you deserve to feel good. So cuddles with Kingston every day, especially in the morning and the evening. Next is voice memos with my soul sisters, because connection, oh my gosh, connection is so healing and it's so necessary, especially when you're navigating the terrain of perimenopause. I love a good fiction book. Right now I am reading. It's getting to be that season of like spooky fiction books, like witchy books. So I'm reading Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. And I am loving it. It's so good. It's about vampires, if you're wondering. So I think that's really appropriate for the fall season. Play, laughter, celebration, because joy is the new medicine for sure. And most importantly, I think the thing that I really want to emphasize is that I am freaking consistent. I don't do everything every single day, but I commit to a rhythm that works with my cycle, my energy, and the season that I'm in. So I want to talk a little bit about what it looks like to step into your perimenopause revolution. Because if the tips and the tricks and the ways to optimize your metabolism has been resonating with you, if you have felt seen, heard, or validated, or at least have felt entertained, please know this. There is a whole guidebook that I have written to walk you through this 10-year season. Hopefully more like a 5 to 6 year season, but you know what? I've met a lot of women where it was a full-on 10-year season. I'm just going to assume that that's what it's going to be for me. And that guidebook is the roadmap. It is the movement. It's the rallying cry. It is the Perimenopause Revolution. And it is available wherever books are sold, right? And I even have it. It's going to be available on Audible. I read the book And what you're going to get from this book is I'm going to walk you through how to know that you're in perimenopause, what it means that these hormones are shifting behind the scenes, the 7 pillars to thriving in perimenopause, including many of them that I talked about today, how to reset your metabolism and your hormones, and really optimize your metabolism and hormones. The thing is that you're not going to get the hormones back unless you are bringing them back in with bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. There's no balancing these hormones out. There's no getting them back with the right herbs. There isn't. When they're gone, right? And so if you want them back to protect your future health and protect your longevity, you're going to be needing to create a tailored protocol. Well, not you, but working with a provider to dial in your hormone replacement protocol. And then you're also going to get the 5-week midlife reset program with real food, real tools, and real science. And let me tell you, it's not just a 5-week reset program. It is a lifestyle. I want you to know that this program is going to set you up for the rest of your life. So all you got to do, if you want to go grab your copy and get all the goodies, all the bonuses that I talked about earlier, is go to drmariza.com/book. And you can grab it wherever books are sold, Barnes & Nobles, Amazon. It's not in bookstores just yet. It'll be in bookstores on October 21st. And I want you to know this is my love letter to you and every woman in this season. So if there's someone in your life right now that you know is going through it with you, that you are in a book club with, or you're in church with, or you're at work with, if it's a coworker, it's a friend, it's a bestie, it's a sister or a cousin, whoever it may be, hook them up, right? Give them the information and the knowledge that they deserve too. That way you've got a buddy in this journey. You've got an accountability partner in this journey. You are supporting them. This is your love letter to them as well, right? So hook them up. I am kicking off an ambassador program for this book, and I hope I will have the ambassador link in the show notes. And all you got to do to enter in this ambassador program is buy 2 copies, one for you and one for a friend, and be open to sharing it on social media or with the people that you love. There are going to be prizes. There's going to be a Facebook group. There's going to be a community. I'm going to be going live. I'm going to do my own book release party with you. So many ways that I'm going to show up for you. I've got all kinds of bonuses and goodies. There's a chance to win $500. So I will have the link in the ambassador program as well, because I know that the ambassador program will be alive and well by the time this episode airs. And if you love this episode, please share it with a soul sister. Tag me on Instagram at Dr. Mariza. That's DrMariza. And take a moment and rate and review the podcast if you haven't already. All you got to do is click those stars and you are done. And again, don't forget, go to drmariza.com/book to get the book and to get the bonuses. Go to drmariza.com for that metabolic reset. I'll have the link in the show notes for that. And consider joining the ambassador program with an incredible Perimenopause Revolution community. Until next time, I am sending you so much love, and here's to epic health at any age, but particularly right now, because you deserve it. Thank you so much for watching. Now, if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you are ready to learn more about perimenopause and how to navigate with a lot of ease and grace, be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you can join our community. Don't forget to share this video with someone that you love, that you know is navigating the perimenopause journey as well, because they deserve to feel their best too. See you in the next video.